Based on a true story, these words can often be found planted at the start of a movie. The truth is usually a lot different, though. From straight-up fabrications to movies where the true part is so thin it's comical, these true story movies are, unfortunately, more fake than fact. Fargo. The Coen brothers have made some big hits over the years, and Fargo is definitely one of them. In fact, if you've seen the movie, then you know it starts with the disclaimer that the events shown did happen in Minnesota in 1987. Well, it turns out that that's not the truth at all. Fargo wasn't the scene of a grisly murder mystery. The closest real life ever got to resembling the film was when a lady was found dead in a snowy field in 2000. There was no wood chipper, no hidden money, and no kidnapping. Open Water. Open Water is supposedly based on the true story of Tom and Eileen Lonergan, two divers who died after being abandoned while diving on the Great Barrier Reef and end up getting eaten by sharks. Is the movie true? Not so much. There was absolutely no evidence to suggest that they were eaten by sharks. In fact, what gear of theirs that did wash up on shore was largely intact and free of any marks that would suggest a shark attack. Flight. Denzel Washington is a drug and alcohol-filled pilot. He flies a passenger plane upside down. He ends up saving a lot of people. It was based on a true story. Or was it? Flight is supposed to be based on the real-life story of Alaskan Airlines 261. But how true is the movie? Well, about as accurate as saying Bambi is based on a real-life deer. Yes, Alaskan Airlines 261 and Denzel Washington's plane do fly upside down, but that's it. In real life, the plane crashed and everyone on board died. Hotel Rwanda. Hotel Rwanda tells the story of how some Rwandans survived the 1994 massacre by taking shelter in a hotel run by Paul Rusesabagina, played by Don Cheadle. Rusesabagina is depicted as a savior. The truth was totally different. Yes, he protected people from the massacre, but for a price. Survivors said he bullied and stole money from the refugees. He charged money for the food provided by humanitarian groups and even threatened to turn over anyone who went against him to the genocidal mobs roaming the countryside. The Perfect Storm. This celebrity-packed film has far more fiction than fact. From down on his luck Captain Billy Tyne to the relationships between various characters, most of it was made up by Hollywood to make the story more interesting. Oh, and Andrea Gale? It was a real ship that sunk in a storm. However, the discussions and actions of the crew wouldn't have been known to the writers because no one survived to tell the story. The Last King of Scotland. Forrest Whitaker plays Idi Amin, the brutal dictator of Uganda, who forms an unlikely relationship with a Scottish doctor played by James McAvoy. Eventually, realizing Amin is a horrible man, he agrees to try to assassinate him, which never ends up happening, much like the truth in the storyline. What is true? The character of Amin, the brutality of his regime, and the hostages at Entebbe all occurred. Everything else is very loosely based on a book of the same name, which itself was loosely based on the true story of Amin and his regime. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Sold as being inspired by a true story, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre had fans wondering if there really was a serial killer who used a chainsaw to kill his victims. The answer to that is a big old nope. The movie's killer, Leatherface, is based on real-life serial killer Ed Gein. Disturbingly, like in the film, Gein did wear the skin of his victims, but more because he was twisted and not because of a skin disease. Braveheart. So what exactly is true about Braveheart? Well, there was a Scotsman named William Wallace. He did fight the English and he was executed. Beyond that, almost everything else in this movie is either made up, completely inaccurate, or dramatically altered to make it fit within the Hollywood version of the story. The love story, the details of the battles, and the entire chronology are just wrong. The Pursuit of Happiness. A down-on-his-luck father solves a Rubik's Cube, goes through some lean times, but eventually gets the job that'll make everything good for him and his son. Sounds pretty good, right? You'll be glad to know that Chris Gardner is real, and so was his struggle to get a stockbroker's job. What the writers and director left out were the less than appealing aspects of Gardner's life. The drug abuse, the adulterous affair, the arrest for domestic abuse, the fact that his son spent much of his time with his mother. Oh, and the Rubik's Cube? That never happened. The Butler. Based on the true story of butler Eugene Allen, The Butler is pretty much a Forrest Gump-style story involving the White House. So how much of it is true? While it is true that he served in the White House that long, the portrayal of Allen's upbringing and family life are far off the mark. His wife Helene wasn't an alcoholic, nor did she have an affair. She also only had one son, who survived Vietnam. The Reagan dinner and Kennedy assassination storylines are accurate, but everything else is largely made up or left in the it probably happened category. Well folks, that's our video about movies that lied to you. Thanks for watching it. While you're here, why don't you check out these other videos, because they surely seem interesting, and let us know what you thought about this one in the comments down below. We're listening. Also, please don't forget to give us a like, and maybe go subscribe to The Richest for more awesome videos. Thanks!